weren't too much. You just cared too deeply for someone who couldn't see you that way. You played their favorite song in your heart, hoping they'd hear it, hoping they'd dance, but they never did. And now, the silence says everything. This isn't about what you lacked. It's about what they couldn't give. It's about facing the truth, and finally, letting go. Chapter 1. Stop waiting for a sign they'll change. Hope is a double-edged sword. It keeps you alive, yes. It keeps you moving when everything inside you feels like it's breaking apart. But hope can also trap you. It holds you captive in a loop of pain, spinning the same story over and over in your mind. The story where they change, where they finally see you, where everything turns out the way you dreamed it might. But they already showed you who they are, not who you wished they'd become. You have to stop waiting for a sign they'll change. You've been waiting for a different version of them. Maybe a version that finally notices you in the way you deserve. Maybe a version that steps up, that commits, that loves you fully today. Not tomorrow, not someday, but right now. But here's the hard truth. Real love isn't a someday promise. Real love isn't a maybe one day or when the timing is right. Real love is a present action. It happens in the now, with the person in front of you. If they can't meet you in the present, if they can't show up fully for you now, they won't. They won't just because you keep hoping. You have to let go of waiting for them to become someone they never were. You might think hope is your friend. You might cling to it like it's the only thing holding you together at 2 a.m. But hope, when it's tied to someone else's change, is a trap. It keeps you stuck, keeps you small, keeps you holding on to a future that doesn't exist. Stop waiting for closure from them. They don't owe you that. They don't have to apologize or explain or fix what they broke. You don't need their apology to heal. Healing starts when you stop hoping they'll see you differently and start reclaiming yourself. Reclaiming yourself means shifting your energy. It means turning inward and asking what you actually need to feel whole again. It means recognizing that waiting for them to change is a form of self-neglect. You are giving away your power, your time, your peace to someone who showed you who they are, not who you want them to be. This isn't about them anymore. It's about you. It's about your heart, your worth, your future. Stop thinking, if only they realized, or if only they could see me. Those thoughts keep you stuck in a cycle of pain. They keep you replaying moments where you hoped for a sign, a gesture, a word that never came. You deserve better than waiting for a sign that might never arrive. You deserve someone who sees you now, who values you now, who loves you now. Start thinking, what can I do for myself today? Start asking, how do I reclaim my life from this waiting? Healing doesn't mean forgetting. It means choosing yourself in the present moment, over and over again. It means building a life where your happiness isn't on hold. It means surrounding yourself with people who show up for you, not just in words, but in actions. You might be tempted to hold onto the hope because it feels safer than the truth. The truth is painful. The truth is that they won't change the way you want them to. The truth is that the love you're waiting for might not exist with this person. But pain is a doorway, not a prison. You have to walk through it, not circle around it. You have to let go of the hope that keeps you chained and start moving toward freedom. Remember, hope tied to someone else's change is a trap. Hope that keeps you stuck is not hope. It's a barrier to your healing. Real hope is found in yourself. Real hope is found in your ability to rebuild, to move forward, to love yourself fiercely and without conditions. You can find hope in the small steps you take each day away from waiting and toward living. It's time to stop waiting for a sign that they'll change. They won't. don't have to. You don't need them to. You need you. You need to reclaim your energy, your time, your heart. You need to stop hoping they'll see you differently and start seeing yourself fully. Because the love you deserve is available right now. From you, for you. You don't have to wait for a future that might never come. You don't have to stay in the shadow of what could have been. You have to step into the light of what is. Your life, your healing, your growth. This isn't about them anymore. It's about you. And you are worth everything it takes to reclaim your peace. You have to stop waiting for closure from them. They may never give it to you. You don't need it to move forward. You don't need their apology or their recognition. You need your own permission to heal. You need to say to yourself, I am enough. I am whole. I am worthy. And then you need to live like it. Let go of the hope that traps you. Let go of the waiting that holds you back. Start reclaiming your life with fierce intention. Start choosing yourself every day. Start building a future where you are no longer defined by someone else's inability to love you the way you deserve. The more you shift your energy from waiting to reclaiming, the more you will find freedom. Freedom from pain, freedom from doubt, freedom from the endless replay of what if. Healing begins the moment you stop hoping they'll see you differently. Healing begins when you see yourself clearly and love yourself fiercely in spite of everything. This is the turning point. This is the moment you decide you are done waiting, done hoping, done holding on to a future that keeps you stuck. You have to let go. You have to choose yourself. Because the truth is, you deserve real love. Love that happens now. Love that is shown through actions. Love that doesn't ask you to wait. You are not waiting for someone else's change anymore. You are waiting for your own awakening. You are waiting for your own power to rise. You are waiting for your own heart to heal and grow and open again. And that waiting, that hope, is worth it. You have to own your part in this journey without owning their faults. That's the next step. Because healing isn't about blaming or resenting. Healing is about understanding your role, your choices, your growth, while letting go of the need to fix or explain theirs. You have to own your part without owning their faults. This is your path forward. This is your story to write. You are no longer waiting for a sign they'll change. You are moving toward the person you are becoming. Strong, whole, and free. Chapter 2. Own your part without owning their faults. It's easy to fall into the trap of blaming yourself entirely. You replay every conversation, every moment, searching for where you went wrong. You think if only you had been different, more patient, less demanding, more forgiving maybe, this wouldn't have ended so painfully. But here's the thing. Blaming yourself doesn't protect you. It doesn't shield you from the ache or the emptiness that follows. It only adds weight to your heart, chains you to a story that's already done. You have to let go of that. Stop holding yourself hostage to the idea that you are the sole reason for this heartbreak. At the same time, it's tempting to clutch their mistakes like a shield, to point at everything they did wrong as proof you're the victim here. It feels safer to say, they hurt me, they failed me, they didn't love me the way I deserved. And yes, that's true. But holding on to their faults as your armor traps you in bitterness, and bitterness is poison. It keeps you stuck in the past, replaying every failure and every lie. Neither self-blame nor blaming them serves you. Neither will protect you from the pain. Only honesty will. Honesty means looking squarely at your part without turning it into a noose around your neck. It means asking yourself, what did I contribute to this? What patterns did I fall into? Or did I ignore red flags or stay silent? Be brutal with yourself here. Not to punish yourself, but to understand, to learn. You owe yourself that much. Because healing starts with truth, not excuses or justifications. Yuten, this is criticality, does not mean carrying their shortcomings as your burden. Their failure to love you properly is on them. You can't fix their inability to show up. You can't rewrite their story or their choices. You don't have to wear their mistakes like a scarlet letter. When you accept your role with clarity, you free yourself from toxic self-doubt. You stop asking, was I not enough? Because you see that sometimes someone's inability to love isn't a reflection of your worth. It's a reflection of their limitations. This balance, owning your part without owning their faults, is what sets you free. It's what starts to untangle the knots in your chest. It stops the endless cycle of wondering if you could have done more, or if you should just forgive everything to keep the peace. Toxic forgiveness is not healing. Forgiving to keep someone else comfortable is not love. You have to be ruthless with your healing. Be real with yourself. Be clear about what you did well and where you stumbled. But don't carry the weight of their failures. Let that fall away. You might think that holding on to blame either for yourself or for Themis, how you protect yourself from being hurt again. But that's a lie you tell yourself to avoid the real work. The real work is seeing things as they were, not as you wish they'd been. It's accepting the messy, painful truth that you were imperfect, and so were they. And that's okay. Because healing is not about perfect love stories. It's about surviving imperfect ones. So what does this honesty look like in practice? Start by naming your feelings without judgment. Say out loud, I was hurt. I made mistakes. I tried. I loved. Repeat it until it sinks in. Stop apologizing for your feelings. Stop minimizing your experience. You don't have to carry shame or guilt for how you felt or what you wanted. Your feelings were valid. Your needs were valid. Next, stop replaying their faults in your head every day. It's tempting to remind yourself of every lie, every betrayal, every cold moment. But that just keeps you stuck in the past. Instead, write down what you learned from the mistakes you recognize in yourself. Write down what you want to do differently next time. This shifts the focus from blame to growth. It's not about excusing their behavior, it's about reclaiming your power. You also need to set boundaries with your inner dialogue. When the voice inside says, you should have seen this coming, or you deserved better, interrupt it. Replace it with, I did the best I could with what I knew. I am worthy of love, even if it wasn't from them. I don't need anyone's approval to heal. These aren't empty platitudes. They are necessary truths you must repeat until they become your foundation. Healing requires patience and persistence. It requires you to show up for yourself every day, even when it hurts. Even when the night feels too long and your heart feels too broken. You don't need their apology to heal. You don't need their acknowledgement. You only need your own commitment to be honest and kind with yourself. Remember, this isn't about them anymore. It's about you. It's about reclaiming your story, your sense of self, your peace. You are not defined by their failure to love you properly. You are defined by how you rise after being let down. You are defined by your courage to face the truth and still choose to heal. This honesty will feel raw. It will feel like ripping open old wounds to let the air in. That's exactly what it is. It hurts because it's real. But real is what you need. Not illusions. Not excuses. Not false hope. Real truth is the only thing that will set you free. When you own your part without owning their faults, you break the cycle of toxic self-doubt. You stop forgiving to forget or to keep peace at your own expense. You start forgiving to release yourself. You stop blaming yourself for what wasn't yours to fix. You stop carrying their failures like a cross. And with that freedom comes the space to heal. The space to rebuild your sense of worth. The space to open your heart against this time wiser, stronger, and more compassionate with yourself. You have to let go. Stop waiting for closure. They already showed you who they are. This isn't about them anymore. It's about you. You don't need their apology to heal. You need your own truth, your own honesty, your own ruthless commitment to your healing. This chapter is a turning point. It's where you stop being a victim to the past and start being the author of your future. The next step is to recognize when you were just an option. Because understanding your worth means knowing when someone saw you as less than that. And when you see that clearly, you can finally walk away with your head held high. Chapter 3. Recognize when you were just an option. You weren't just a friend. You were the friend who hoped for more. The friend who stayed up late, waiting for a sign that they saw you differently. The friend who smiled when they looked at you, pretending it was enough. But it wasn't. It never was. Being the friend when your heart wanted to be something else is a heartbreak wrapped in silence. It's the quiet kind of ache that no one else hears because it's hidden behind laughs and inside jokes and the pretense of closeness. This kind of pain is invisible rejection. It's rejection without a word, without a fight, without closure. You were right there, standing so close, but always just out of reach. You gave your time, your attention, your most vulnerable self, but they never crossed that line. They never looked at you the way you looked at them. And that silence, that absence, it cuts deeper than any argument or breakup ever could. You have to understand this now. If they never saw you as a priority, it's not your job to convince them. Your worth isn't a question mark to be negotiated or bargained over. It's not conditional on their feelings, their timing, their readiness. You don't need to chase a heart that doesn't run toward you. You don't need to rewrite your value to fit someone else's limited imagination of who you are. It's tempting to think if you just tried harder, if you just said the right words, if you just waited a bit longer, things would change. But they won't. You already saw who they are. They already showed you. Stop waiting for closure that will never come. Stop waiting for a sign they'll change. This isn't about them anymore. It's about you. This truth hurts. It hurts because it means letting go of hope. It means accepting that the story you wanted to write with them was never meant to be. It means admitting the quiet, painful fact that you were just an option. That your affection, your loyalty, your dreams were extras, not essentials. And that hurts because you gave your all. You believed in the possibility of more. You deserve more than being the friend. But this pain, as raw as it is, breaks the cycle. It stops the exhausting chase after someone who never chased you back. It frees you from the endless questioning and the replaying of moments that haunt your nights. The truth is a gift, even when it stings. The truth is the first step toward healing. You have to let go of the idea that you can change their mind. You have to stop seeing their indifference as a reflection of your worth. Their inability or unwillingness to prioritize you says nothing about your value. It says everything about their capacity or choice. You don't need to earn love. You don't need to prove your worth more than a footnote in their life. So what do you do now? First, stop thinking that you're the problem. You already owned your part in the past chapter. Now, own the truth that some people will never see you the way you see them. That's not a failure. That's a fact. Stop replaying conversations, imagining different outcomes. Stop waiting for a text, a call, a sign. You deserve someone who runs toward you without hesitation, doing what feels like self-respect. Set boundaries not to punish them, but to protect yourself. Distance yourself emotionally and physically if you need to. Say no to invitations that feel like a trap. Say no to conversations that leave you doubting yourself. Say yes to your own peace, your own healing. Surround yourself with people who see you, who prioritize you, who treat you like the whole person you are. Write it down if you have to. I am not an option. I am not a fallback. I do not settle for crumbs when I deserve the whole feast. Repeat this until it sinks in. Repeat this until your heart believes it. You are more than the friend zone. You are a person worthy of desire, respect, and love that is freely given and fiercely protective. It's okay to feel betrayed by your own heart. It's okay to grieve the loss of a dream that was never real. But don't let that grief trap you in a story that keeps you stuck. The moment you accept you were just an option is the moment you start reclaiming your power. It's the moment you choose yourself over a fantasy. It's the moment you stop chasing and start living. Remember, healing isn't about erasing the past. It's about learning to carry it differently. It's about feeling the pain without being defined by it. You don't need their apology to heal. You don't need their recognition to move on. This isn't about proving anything to them. This is about proving everything to yourself. You will wake up some mornings, and the ache will still be there. That's okay. You will find yourself thinking about what could have been. That's okay too. But each time those thoughts come, remind yourself, you were just an option. And that's not your fault. That's their choice. You don't have to stay in a story where you aren't the hero. Let this truth settle in your bones. Let it be the foundation for the next chapter of your life. Stop waiting for a sign they'll change. Stop hoping for a different ending. This story doesn't belong to you anymore. It belongs to the past. Now you're ready to feel the pain without losing yourself. Because heartbreak doesn't have to break you. It can break open a new way forward. And that's where you're headed. Chapter 4. Feel the pain without losing yourself. You're hurting. That's a fact you can't outrun or ignore. The ache inside isn't weakness. It's not a flaw or a sign you're broken beyond repair. Grief is necessary. It's the body and soul's way of cleaning house. Let yourself cry. Let yourself rage. Let the scream claw its way out if it needs to. But hear me when I say this. The pain must not rewrite who you are. You are more than this heartbreak. You are more than the sleepless nights spent replaying every word, every glance that never turned into something more. You are not just the person left waiting, hoping, holding on to a friendship that never crossed the line. The pain is real, but it's not the whole story. It's a season, not your future. Grief demands space. It demands time. You owe it to yourself to feel it fully. Don't shy away. Don't push it down like a dirty secret you're ashamed to admit. Let the tears fall. Rage if you must. Scream into the night when the silence becomes too loud. This is part of healing, part of reclaiming your heart. But there's a line you have to guard on. Lose yourself in the storm. You have to anchor yourself. You have to build something steady beneath your shaking feet. Routines, self-care, small acts of kindness toward yourself. These are your lifelines. Wake up in the morning and do one thing that says, I am here, I matter. It could be as simple as brushing your teeth, making your bed, or stepping outside for a breath of air. These aren't trivial acts. They're declarations that you refuse to let heartbreak define you. Sometimes you might feel like you're drowning in your own mind. The loops of what if, and if only will try to pull you under. You're going to want to believe that if you just try harder, If you just wait longer, things will change. Stop waiting for a sign they'll change. They already showed you who they are. This isn't about them anymore. It's about you. Self-care isn't just bubble baths and chocolates. It's setting boundaries with yourself and others. It's saying no when you're asked to relive the pain or to pretend everything is okay. It's choosing to limit contact with people who remind you of what you lost or worse, what you never had. It's learning to listen to your body when it says, enough. You might feel like you're losing parts of yourself in this pain. The confident you, the hopeful you, the you that believed love was possible. But you're not losing yourself. You're shedding what no longer belongs. You're clearing the way for who you're meant to become. Feel deeply, but stand tall. The storm will pass. The wound will heal. Remember, grief is not linear. Some days you'll feel like progress is impossible, like you're stuck in a loop of sorrow and regret. That's normal. That's human. But every day you show up for yourself, you're building resilience. Every tear shed, every angry thought voiced, every moment of despair faced head-on. These are the bricks in your foundation. Don't let the pain become your identity. You are not the one who was rejected, or the friend who never got a chance. You are a whole person, still worthy of love and respect. The heartbreak is only a chapter, not the whole book. You have to remind yourself of this every time the darkness creeps in. Anchor yourself with rituals that ground you in reality. Write in a journal to empty your mind. Take a walk, even if it's just around the block. Cook a meal for yourself like you would for someone you love. These small acts are powerful. They say, I'm still here. I'm still fighting. You may feel like hiding, retreating from the world. But isolation can deepen the pain. Reach out to someone who listens without judgment. A friend, a therapist, or even a stranger in a support group. You don't have to carry this alone. Connection is medicine. At night, when the world is quiet and your thoughts are loud, remind yourself, this pain isn't permanent. This heartbreak is temporary. You are not losing your mind or your soul. You are simply grieving. And grief is necessary. You might be afraid that if you feel the pain fully, it will swallow you whole. But the opposite is true. When you allow yourself to feel, you reclaim control. You tell your heart, I see you. I hear you. But you don't own me. Pain is a season. It demands patience and courage. It demands you show up for yourself, even when every part of you wants to give up. You don't need their apology to heal. You don't need closure from them. You need closure for yourself. You have to let go. Stand tall in your grief. Let it move through you like a river, not a flood that drowns you. Feel deeply, but don't lose sight of the person you are beneath the pain. That person is strong. That person is whole. That person will love again. You are not your heartbreak. You are not the friend who waited too long or hoped too much. You are the friend who survived. The friend who learned to love herself first. The friend who knows that this pain, as raw and real as it is, will not last forever. Keep this truth close. You are more than this. You have been more than this from the start. The pain is trying to convince you otherwise, but don't listen. You are still here. You are still breathing. You are still worthy. And as you move forward, remember this is just the middle of your story, not the end. The next step is to cut the ties that keep you stuck. To finally free yourself from the chains of hope that no longer serve you. To stop waiting for a sign that will never come. You have to let go. Not because you want to, but because you need to. Because your heart deserves peace more than it deserves pain. Because your future is waiting. And it's not written in tears. It's written in the strength you find today by standing tall, by feeling deeply, and by refusing to be defined by loss. This is your time. This is your season of grief, yes, but it's also your season of becoming. Don't run from the pain. Don't hide from it. Feel it. Own it. And then let it go. Because the next chapter is waiting for you. And it begins with freedom. Chapter 5. Cut the ties that keep you stuck. You have to let go of the digital threads that tie you to them. Deleting their number, unfollowing their life, and silencing those old messages isn't cruelty. It's survival. It's not about being harsh or unforgiving. It's about protecting the fragile space where your healing can begin to breathe. Every time your phone lights up with their name, every time you scroll past their updates, it's like reopening a wound that hasn't had time to scab over yet. You don't owe them a place in your feed or your contacts. You owe yourself peace. It's tempting to keep those reminders close. Maybe you think you'll need them someday. To check a date, to remember a detail, to hold onto a sliver of connection. But that's a lie you tell yourself to delay the inevitable. Every reminder is a fresh wound. Every ping is a setback. You deserve better than to live in that cycle of reopening and bleeding. You deserve to stop hurting, to stop wondering, to stop hoping for a version of them that never existed. Protect your healing space fiercely. Build walls around it if you have to. I know it's hard. I know you feel like you're erasing a chapter of your own story when you delete their number or mute their notifications. But this isn't erasing. This is rewriting. This is choosing a narrative where you come first, where your heart matters more than their absence, where your peace is the priority. It's not about forgetting. It's about freeing yourself from the constant, exhausting pull of what could have been. Set clear boundaries, emotional and digital, to reclaim your power and peace. That means no more scrolling through their social media profiles to see if they're moving on. No more reading between the lines of old texts, hoping for hidden meaning or a sign they regret. No more calling yourself weak for wanting to reach out one last time. Boundaries are not walls to keep love out. They're fences to keep pain at bay. They remind you that your heart is yours to protect, not theirs to manipulate. You might think, I'm just being strong by holding on. But holding on to their traces is not strength. It's a chain. You have to let go. Stop waiting for closure. They already showed you who they are. They didn't see you the way you saw them. That's the truth, raw and unfiltered. You don't need their apology to heal. You don't need their recognition to move forward. Your healing is your responsibility. Ask yourself, what good does it do to keep reliving the past through their old messages? What peace can come from scrolling through pictures of a life you thought you'd have together? None. It's poison disguised as nostalgia. Delete the number. Unfollow the life. Silence the messages. It's not about erasing memories. It's about stopping the constant reopening of wounds that need time to heal. You have to be brutal with yourself sometimes. Not because you don't care, but because you care too much to let yourself fall apart again and again. This isn't about them anymore. It's about you. Your heart, your clarity, your future. If they wanted to be part of your life, they'd show up. Since they haven't, it's time to stop waiting for a sign they'll change. Remember the pain you felt in the last chapter. That ache of being the friend who hoped for more, who stayed up late waiting for a different outcome. That pain isn't weakness. It's a signpost pointing you toward the truth. You deserve better. But to get there, you have to stop carrying all this weight around. Delete what drags you down. Unfollow what confuses you. Silence what haunts you. Your healing space is sacred. Guard it like your life depends on it, because it does. Every reminder you allow in is a crack in your foundation. Every message you leave unsilenced is a door left open to heartache. You have to close those doors. Lock them. Throw away the keys. This isn't about bitterness or revenge. It's about survival. It's about creating a space where you can breathe freely again. Set those boundaries clearly. Tell yourself no more. No more checking. No more hoping. No more reaching out. It's okay to be ruthless with those boundaries. They keep you safe. They keep you sane. They keep you moving forward. You can't heal if you keep opening the same wounds. You can't find peace if you keep inviting chaos back into your heart. You might feel guilty, like you're being unfair by cutting off those digital ties. But guilt is just another chain. Break it. You're not responsible for their feelings or their actions. You're responsible for your own survival. And survival means cutting loose what keeps you stuck. It means choosing your peace over their presence. It means loving yourself enough to say enough is enough. It's okay to mourn the loss of what could have been. But don't let that mourning turn into a trap. Don't let it keep you chained to the past. You have to cut the ties. You have to let go. You have to stop waiting for closure that will never come from them. You have to start creating your own closure by reclaiming your power. This isn't about erasing your memories. It's about rewriting your story. Your story where you are no longer the friend who waited and hoped. Your story where you are the friend who chose herself, who chose healing, who chose peace, who chose the hard, painful, beautiful work of letting go. You already know the truth. They never saw you the way you saw them. You already know the pain, being the friend who never got the love she deserved. Now it's time to act on that truth. Now it's time to protect your heart by cutting the ties that keep you stuck, because the next step is about something new. It's about shifting how you see yourself in the eyes of people who don't care. It's about stopping explaining yourself to them. But before that, you have to make sure you're not still tethered to the past, to the one who never saw you that way. So delete the number, unfollow the life, silence the messages, protect your healing space fiercely, set clear boundaries, reclaim your power, because this isn't about them anymore. This is about you, your peace, your future, and your freedom. Chapter 6. Stop explaining yourself to people who don't care. You don't owe anyone an explanation. Not a single person. Not the ones who dismissed you, who never saw the pieces of you that broke, who turned away when you needed them most. You don't owe them a detailed report on why you're shattered or how you're putting yourself back together. Some people never understood you. Some people never wanted to. That's not your failure. That's their choice. You might feel like you have to justify your pain. Like if you don't explain every tear, every sleepless night, every moment of doubt, then your heartbreak doesn't count. But that's a lie. Your pain is valid without an audience. Your healing is real without applause. You don't have to lay out your story like a blueprint for anyone else's approval. This isn't about convincing anyone. It's about reclaiming your own truth. People love to ask questions they don't care about the answers to. They want the drama or the gossip, but not the depth. They want to feel like they're involved, but they don't want to do the work of understanding. They don't want to see your raw edges or hold you when you're fragile. And when you try, they dismiss you, minimize your feelings, or change the subject. That's their problem, not yours. Stop explaining. Stop justifying. Stop trying to make your story fit into their narrow frames of reference. You're not a puzzle for them to solve. You're not a story for them to judge. You're a person who deserves to heal on your own terms. Instead, turn inward. Focus on self-validation. Your story matters, but only to you and those who truly love you, those who see you, those who hold space for your pain without trying to fix it or rush it. They don't ask for explanations. They don't demand clarity. They accept you, broken and whole. Self-validation means listening to your own voice above the noise. It means recognizing that your feelings are real, even if others dismiss them. It means giving yourself permission to be tender and fierce at the same time. To cry, to rage, to rest, to rebuild. When you validate yourself, you stop giving away your power. You stop asking for permission to feel. You stop needing anyone else's approval to say, "This hurts," or "I'm healing." Your validation is a shield against the world's indifference, and the world will be indifferent. The world will judge. The world will whisper that you're too much or not enough. There will always be noise. That noise is judgment. It's criticism disguised as concern. It's unsolicited advice wrapped in impatience. It's the voice that tells you to move on faster, to stop being dramatic, to forget and forgive on someone else's timetable. Silence that noise, not by arguing or defending yourself, not by explaining why you feel what you feel, but by refusing to let it in. You decide what you hear. You decide whose voices have weight. You decide where your energy goes. Judgment doesn't just hurt your pride. It prolongs your pain. It keeps you stuck in a loop of self-doubt and confusion. It makes you question your worth and your reality. But you already know the truth. You already know what you felt, what you lost. You already know that you deserve better. So stop trying to fix other people's misunderstandings. Stop trying to make your pain palatable for their comfort. This isn't about them anymore. It's about you. Your healing isn't a performance. It's a process. It's messy and slow and necessary. What if you decided today to stop explaining? To stop justifying? To stop shrinking your pain into something digestible for others? What if you let yourself be as raw and real as you are, without apology? You might feel scared. Scared of being alone in your pain. Scared no one will understand. But that fear is part of the healing. You have to sit with it. You have to feel it fully. Because in that space, without explanations, without defenses, you'll find your strength. You'll find the part of you that doesn't need anyone else's validation to feel whole. The part that knows your story is yours alone to hold. The part that trusts that love and understanding will come, but only from those who deserve to be in your life. Start by setting boundaries with yourself and others. When someone asks for details you're not ready to share, practice saying, "I'm still figuring it out," or "I don't want to talk about it right now." You don't owe more than that. Your healing is private. Your recovery doesn't need an audience. Notice when you catch yourself trying to explain or justify. Pause. Ask yourself, who am I trying to convince? Why? Often the answer is fear. Fear of being judged. Fear of being seen as weak. Fear of being abandoned again. That fear is real, but it's not the truth. You are stronger than that. Fill your time and energy with people who accept your silence and your stories equally. Seek out those who listen without interrupting, who hold space without filling it with their own opinions. Those are your people. They don't need to understand everything. They just need to be there. Practice self-validation daily. Look in the mirror and say, "I am enough." My pain is real. My healing matters. Write it down. Repeat it when the world feels loud. Let those words be your anchor when the judgment tries to pull you under. Remember, you are not obligated to make your heartbreak understandable. You don't have to package it neatly for anyone else's comfort. You don't have to shrink to fit into the spaces they offer. You deserve to take up space. You deserve to take your time. You have to let go of the idea that your healing depends on someone else's approval. It doesn't. You don't need their apology to move forward. You don't need their recognition to feel worthy. This is your journey, and it belongs to you. The more you stop explaining yourself to people who don't care, the more you reclaim your power. The more you focus on self-validation, the clearer your path to healing becomes. The more you silence the noise of judgment, the lighter your heart feels. You've already done the hardest part. You've faced the pain. You've seen the truth. Now, it's time to protect your peace, to keep moving forward even when it feels impossible, to own your story without apology. This isn't about shutting people out forever. It's about building a foundation strong enough to hold you when the world feels cold. It's about choosing who gets to be part of your healing and who doesn't. You have to let go. Stop waiting for closure that may never come. They already showed you who they are. This isn't about them anymore. It's about you. You don't need their approval to heal. You don't need their understanding to move on. Your story matters, but not to everyone. And that's okay. It matters most to you. It matters to the people who truly love you. Those who see your pain and don't ask for explanations. Those who hold your heart gently, without judgment. Hold that truth close. Let it guide you when the nights are long and the silence is loud. You are enough. Your healing is enough. You don't owe anyone anything but your own kindness. Now take that kindness back. Reclaim your identity beyond the us. This is your life to live, your heart to guard, your story to tell, on your own terms. Chapter 7. Reclaim your identity beyond the us. When love dies, the first question you have to face is, who the hell are you without the we? Because for so long, your identity wasn't just yours. It was tangled up in theirs, in the us you built told sometimes carefully, other times without even realizing it. That shared story shaped your days, your dreams, your very sense of self. Now that us is gone, it's like the foundation beneath you cracked, and everything feels unsteady. But here's the truth nobody tells you at 2 a.m. when the silence is deafening. You are not less without that us. You are still whole, and it's time to claim that. This isn't about clinging to what was. It's about rediscovering who you are beyond the we. What makes you tick when there's no one else in the picture? What's left when you strip away the shared plans and inside jokes? Your passions, your quirks, your dreams that were always there, waiting quietly beneath the surface, even if you forgot to notice. Now you get to wake them up. Now you get to be curious about yourself again, with raw honesty and no apologies. It's scary to look in the mirror and see someone unfamiliar. That's normal. You spent so much time being part of a pair that being alone feels like starting from zero. But starting from zero is a gift disguised as pain. It's the clean slate you never asked for, but desperately need. So start small. Pick one thing you loved before, us maybe a hobby pushed aside, a book left unread, a dream shelved because it didn't fit the narrative you had with them. Pick that one thing and lean into it. Let it remind you that you've always had a life that belongs only to you. Here's what you need to stop doing. Stop defining yourself by their absence. Stop thinking, I'm nothing without them. That's a lie you've been tricked into believing. You are not the shadow of their affection. You are not the echo of their approval. You are the original. Own that. Own that fiercely, even when it feels like your heart is screaming otherwise. Rebuilding your self-image is the foundation of your comeback. This is the moment where you lean into curiosity instead of fear. Instead of asking why you weren't enough, ask who you are when you're enough for yourself. What do you want to become? What parts of yourself have you been ignoring because they didn't fit into the us you thought you needed? Be honest with yourself about the parts you forgot or buried. Maybe you were always the loud one, the dreamer, the artist, the runner, the thinker. Maybe you craved adventure or solitude or deep connection in ways that didn't match theirs. This is your chance to reclaim that, to be the person you were always meant to be, whole and unapologetic. You might feel like you're starting over, but you're not. You're starting forward. You are building yourself not on the ruins of a failed relationship, but on the solid ground of self-knowledge. This is your comeback story, written by you for you. Don't let anyone else edit it. It helps to set small goals that center you, not them. Maybe it's journaling your thoughts without censoring yourself, even the messy ones. Maybe it's trying a new class or revisiting an old passion. Maybe it's spending time alone without reaching for your phone to check if they've messaged. These aren't just distractions. They're acts of self-respect. They're you saying, I matter, my life matters, and I'm going to live it on my terms. Stop comparing your progress to theirs, too. You don't know their journey, and it doesn't matter. This isn't a race. It's a reclamation. You don't need to be better than them or prove anything to anyone. You need to be true to yourself. That's the real victory. Remember the lessons from before. You don't owe closure to anyone who walked away without it. You don't need their apology to heal. They already showed you who they are. You have to let go. This isn't about them anymore, it's about you. When you stop explaining yourself to people who don't care, you free up space to care for yourself. This space you're creating isn't empty. It's full of potential. Potential for joy, for growth, for rediscovery. You have to nurture it like you would a fragile seedling. It takes time. It takes patience. But it's worth it. You might find that some parts of you surprise you. You might rediscover old dreams that feel fresh again. Or maybe you'll find new layers of strength you never knew you had. Either way, this process will teach you that your identity isn't tied to someone else's perception. It's yours to define and redefine over and over. Be kind with yourself when the loneliness hits. It will. That ache is the price of loving deeply, but it won't last forever. The more you invest in yourself, the smaller that ache becomes, until it's just a quiet reminder of what you survived and how much stronger you are now. You are not broken because the we fell apart. You are whole because you are still standing. You are more than the sum of a lost love. You are the architect of your own future. This chapter of your life isn't about mourning what was. It's about building what will be. You get to be the person you were always meant to be, complete, raw, and unapologetically you. Hold on to that. Let it anchor you when the nights are long and the memories loud. This is your moment, your chance to step fully into yourself, beyond the us that no longer exists. Now, as you gather these pieces of you, remember this isn't the end of the story. It's a turning point. The next step is learning to stop romanticizing what never was, because that's the only way to move forward without dragging the past behind you like a chain. You've done the hard work of letting go. Now, It's time to stop looking back with rose-colored glasses. Your real future waits in the clear light of Trudhand. It's waiting for you to claim it. Chapter 8. Stop romanticizing what never was. You're tired. You're worn out from going back to those moments that never felt quite right, but somehow still sting when you remember them. The late-night texts that never got answered. The plans that never fully came together. The way their eyes looked past you when you were speaking, like you were invisible. You want to hold on to the good parts because they're easier to bear. But memory is a liar. It dresses up pain in rose-colored light and tells you a story you want to hear instead of the story that's true. Think about this. The truth isn't in the moments you wish were different. It's in the patterns, those repeated silences, missed promises, and cold indifferences that piled up over time. You might remember the laughter, the brief flashes of connection, the times you caught yourself imagining a future with them. But those were exceptions. The rule was disappointment. The rule was feeling small, unseen, waiting for someone who never showed up in the way you needed. You have to see the relationship honestly, not through the filter of hope or what could have been. Revisit it without the rose-tinted glasses. Look at the times they didn't call back, the times they showed up late or not at all, the promises they made but didn't keep, the red flags you ignored because you wanted them to be different. They weren't different. They showed you exactly who they were. You just didn't want to believe it. That's not weakness. That's heartbreak. Stop romanticizing what never was. You're not being mean to yourself when you do this. You're trying to protect your heart from breaking into pieces. But protecting your heart doesn't mean living in a fantasy. It means learning to love yourself enough to face reality, to seek the truth, no matter how painful, because it's the only way you'll ever heal. You have to let go of the fantasy, the one where they finally see you, the one where they change, the one where you're the one who got it wrong. You have to stop waiting for a sign they'll change. They already showed you who they are. They showed you with their actions, with their absence, with their silence. And if you keep holding on to illusions, you're only trapping yourself in pain. It's hard. It hurts like hell. But healing starts when you stop explaining yourself to people who don't care. When you stop telling yourself stories that make you feel smaller. When you stop twisting the truth to fit your hope. The truth is there in the patterns, in the way they made you feel like an option, not a priority, in the way your needs were ignored, in the way your heart was left waiting in the dark. You don't need their apology to heal. You don't need them to admit they were wrong or to say they see you now. That's not your job. Your job is to reclaim your reality, to face what was and say, this is what happened. This is how it made me feel. This is why I deserve better. You're not being bitter. You're being honest. Honest with yourself. Honest about your worth. When you stop romanticizing what never was, you create space for something real. Real love starts with the love you give yourself. Real healing begins when you stop searching for it in the wrong places. You have to love yourself enough to stop chasing ghosts, to stop hoping for a future that never had a chance, to stop believing that if only you had been different, things would be okay. You are enough. You are enough. You don't have to earn love or prove your worth to anyone. Not them. Not anyone. You deserve a love that shows up, consistently, clearly, and without conditions. And that love starts with you. It starts with seeing yourself clearly and choosing to walk away from what doesn't serve you. Revisit the relationship with brutal honesty. Write down the missed promises, the times they were late emotionally or physically, the moments you felt alone even when they were near. Look at those red flags you waved away. They were warnings. not obstacles to overcome. They were signs pointing you to the truth that you needed to see. Stop making excuses for their behavior. Stop minimizing your pain. Stop telling yourself it wasn't that bad. You deserve to feel what you feel. You deserve to acknowledge the hurt. But don't let the hurt become a cage. Don't let the pain rewrite your story into one where you're the only one who tried or cared. You're not alone in that. You're not the only one who wanted more. You have to let go. Let go of the fantasy. Let go of the hope that keeps you stuck. Let go of the idea that if only you wait long enough, they'll come around. They won't. This isn't about them anymore. It's about you. It's about your peace, your sanity, your chance to heal and move forward. Start by telling yourself the truth every day. The truth that you are worthy of love that's real. That you don't have to settle for less than you deserve. That it's okay to say no to someone who never made you a priority. That your heart is not a prize to be won, but a sanctuary to be cherished. Stop revisiting old memories with rose-colored glasses. Start looking at them with clear eyes. See the cracks in the foundation. Feel the weight of what was missing. And then let yourself grieve. Let yourself cry. Let yourself be angry. But do not stay there. Do not stay stuck in the past. Because the past, no matter how painful, does not have to define your future. You're learning to trust yourself again. To listen to your own needs. To honor your own heart. This is how you reclaim your power. This is how you build a new foundation on that's strong, steady, and real. You're not just moving on. You're moving up. You're moving toward the life and love you were always meant to have. Remember, you don't need their validation. You don't need their love. What you need is to stop explaining yourself to people who never cared enough to understand. You need to stop waiting for closure that will never come. Because sometimes closure doesn't come from them. It comes from you. From your decision to finally say, enough. You have to let go. You have to stop romanticizing what never was. Because when you do, you make room for what can be. You make space for healing, for growth, for a love that sees you fully, loves you fiercely, and never lets you question your worth. This is about reclaiming your truth, about learning to trust yourself again, about building a new story where you are the hero, not the heartbroken victim. This is where your journey leads next, learning to trust again, starting with yourself. Because before you can trust anyone else, you have to trust the one who never left your side, you. Chapter 9, Learn to Trust Again. Starting with yourself. Heartbreak breaks trust like a hammer on glass. It shatters you. It leaves you holding shards, sharp and dangerous. But those fragments, they are still yours. You didn't lose them all. You still have the pieces, and those pieces are where you start. You rebuild from the inside out. This is not about fixing what was broken between you and them. It's about fixing what's broken inside you. You think trust is something given, something easy to hand over once more. It's not. Trust is earned, yes, but first, it's reclaimed. Reclaimed from your own hands. When someone you loved, someone you thought loved you back, let you down, it's natural to want to close yourself off, to lock every door to your heart, to swear you'll never feel that vulnerable again. But that's not how healing works. You have to invite trust back in, starting small. Start small by trusting your feelings. Feelings don't lie. When you feel pain, anger, sadness, or confusion, that's your heart talking, not your head lying to you. This heartbreak isn't a mistake. It's a brutal lesson. Your emotions are the first bricks in rebuilding your foundation. Trust them. Don't push them away. When you feel doubt about yourself, when you second-guess your worth or your choices. Remind yourself this is normal after being let down. But also remind yourself that your feelings are valid. Trust that your gut is trying to protect you. Next, start trusting your decisions. Every choice you make right now is a step toward healing the messy, imperfect ones. If you decide to take a day off to cry, that's trust. If you set a boundary and say no, that's trust. If you decide to delete their number or block them on social media, that's trust. These decisions might feel small or insignificant, but they're not. They're your way of saying, I know what I need. You don't need to explain yourself to anyone. You don't owe anyone clarity. This isn't about them anymore. It's about you. Boundaries, these are your bricks too. Heartbreak often leaves you vulnerable, like an open wound that anyone can poke and prod. You need armor. That armor is your boundary. It's saying, this is where I stop. This is what I will not tolerate. Maybe that means no contact. Maybe it's no longer answering their texts or refusing to discuss the past over and over again. Boundaries protect you. They don't make you cold or unfeeling. They make you strong. They make you safe. Self-trust is not a gift you're handing to someone else. It's the armor you wear when the world tries to hurt you again. When you start trusting yourself, you build a shield that blocks the sting of repeating pain. You remember that you are the one to protect first. You don't have to wait for apologies, explanations, or changes from them. They already showed you who they are. You don't need their apology to heal. Your healing starts with you. Rebuilding trust is not a straight path. You will doubt yourself. You will fall back into old patterns. You'll want to text them, to explain, to ask why. When that happens, remind yourself, you are learning to trust yourself again. Every time you stop yourself from going back, you're building a new brick. Every time you honor your boundaries, every time you listen to your feelings instead of burying them, you're strengthening your foundation. This isn't about rushing into new relationships or forcing yourself to get over it. It's about creating a version of you that is whole, again in your own terms. Remember, heartbreak often makes you question your judgment. You wonder if you were naive or foolish. Maybe you think you should have seen the signs earlier or held on tighter. That's a trap. Stop blaming yourself entirely. You did the best you could with what you knew. Now, with the pain behind you, you are wiser. You are stronger. Trust that wisdom. Trust that strength. Trusting yourself might mean facing uncomfortable truths. Maybe you realize you stayed too long hoping for change. Maybe you see you ignored your own needs to keep peace. That's painful, yes, but it's also powerful, because now you know what you won't tolerate. Now you know what you deserve. And when you know that, you can protect yourself better next time. Self-trust is not about perfection. It's about honesty with yourself. It's about valuing your own voice over the echoes of someone who never truly heard you. You don't have to wait for a grand sign to start trusting yourself. You don't need a miraculous breakthrough. Start with the small things. Trust that you can wake up tomorrow and face the day, even when it hurts. Trust that you can say no to a text that will only reopen wounds. Trust that you can choose peace over chaos. Trust that you're learning to love yourself again. Because when the foundation of self-trust is laid, real love can follow. Love that doesn't break you. Love that doesn't make you second guess your worth. This process isn't quick. It's not a neat little chapter you finish and then move on from. It's a lifelong practice. Trusting yourself again means you're breaking a cycle. You're not going to be the person who waits for signs that never come. You're not going to be the person who loses themselves in someone else's story. You're reclaiming your narrative. You're saying, I'm here, I'm enough. I'm worthy of love that doesn't hurt this much. And here's the truth. When you trust yourself first, you're no longer terrified of being alone. You don't feel desperate for others to validate you. You are your own validation. That's freedom. That's power. That's the kind of love that never breaks. So take this moment. Take this heartbreak and use it. It's raw and it's painful, but it's also a chance. A chance to rebuild trust where it matters most in yourself. The friend who never saw you that way might be gone, but you are still here, still standing, still holding the pieces, and you're about to build something stronger than before. You have to let go of what you thought love was. Stop waiting for closure from them. They already showed you who they are. This isn't about them anymore, it's about you. Trust your feelings. Trust your decisions. Trust your boundaries. Trust yourself. Because you are the one who will protect your heart from repeating the same pain. The journey ahead isn't easy, but it's worth it. When you learn to trust again, starting with yourself, you open the door to real healing. You build a life where love isn't a source of fear or doubt, but a reflection of your own strength. Now, as you step forward, remember this. Choose growth over grudge every single day. That's the next step. That's how you keep moving forward. Because trust begins with you, and growth is the path that leads you out of heartbreak's shadow into the light you deserve. Chapter 10. Choose growth over grudge every single day. Holding on to anger feels like gripping a burning coal, hoping it will scorch the one who hurt you. But all it does is burn your hand. Every time you replay their betrayals, every time you nurse that bitterness, you're chaining yourself to a past that refuses to let you go. It's a heavy chain, and it's one you can break. Growth means breaking those chains, even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. Because pain's grip is strongest in the dark hours, when your mind circles back to the why and the what-ifs. But you have to choose to loosen your fingers. You have to choose growth over grudge every single day. You've been hurt by someone who never saw you the way you needed to be seen. That's a brutal truth. And anger is a natural response. It's a signal that your boundaries were crossed, that your heart was disregarded. But anger is not a permanent home. It's a place you visit, not where you live. If you stay there, you become a prisoner of your past. You become stuck in the memory of what could have been, instead of stepping into what can be. You don't have to forget what happened. You don't have to pretend it's okay. But you do have to release the bitterness that weighs you down. Because bitterness is a thief. It steals your joy. It robs your peace. And it keeps you from the freedom you deserve. Forgiveness isn't for them. Forgiveness is for you. Say it again. Forgiveness isn't for them. It's for your freedom. You don't owe anyone forgiveness. You don't have to forget or reconcile or even speak to them again. But you do owe it to yourself to stop carrying the burden of resentment. When you forgive, you're not excusing their behavior. You're not saying it was okay. You're declaring your right to move forward without their shadow dragging behind you. Forgiveness is the key to reclaiming your joy. It's the release valve for the pressure that's built up inside your chest. It's the first step toward peace. Every morning when you wake up, you face a choice. You can wake up angry. You can wake up bitter. You can wake up stuck. Or you can wake up and choose to rise stronger. Choose you. No matter how many times you fall back into pain, no matter how many times your heart tries to argue for a second chance, you get to choose your path. You get to decide if you will remain a victim of what happened or become the author of what's next. This isn't about forgetting the past. This isn't about erasing your pain. It's about owning your power in spite of it. You might think, but how do I stop feeling so angry? How do I stop thinking about them every minute? It's not about forcing yourself to forget or pretending you're okay before you really are. It's about giving yourself permission to feel without holding on. Feel the anger. Feel the hurt. Feel the betrayal, but don't make those feelings your permanent home. Let them pass through you like a storm. You don't have to chase the storm, and you don't have to run from it. You just need to let it move through. And then, when the sky clears, you can see the sun again. Stop waiting for closure from them. They already showed you who they are. Closure is a myth we cling to because it feels like control. But the truth is, closure is something you create for yourself. It's not a conversation that will erase your pain. It's not a text, a call, or a gesture that will fix what's broken. Closure is a decision you make to stop reliving the story that hurts you. It's a decision to stop turning over the pieces of a puzzle that won't fit anymore. When you stop waiting for closure, you take back your power. You stop giving them control over your peace. You have to let go of the stories you tell yourself about them. The stories about how they didn't love you enough, or how you weren't enough, or how you deserved better, but still somehow failed. Those stories keep you stuck. They keep your heart locked in a cage of regret and self-doubt. You don't need those stories. You don't need to explain yourself to anyone who never cared enough to understand. You don't need their apology to heal. You don't need their recognition to know your worth. You just need yourself. Choosing growth over grudge means looking in the mirror and saying, I am more than what happened to me. It means reminding yourself that your value isn't determined by someone else's inability to see it. It means waking up every day and deciding to be kind to yourself, even when it hurts, even when the night is long and the silence is loud. It means building new boundaries, new habits, new stories that serve you instead of trap you. It means practicing forgiveness, like a muscle that gets stronger with use, even when it feels impossible. And yes, it will feel impossible. There will be days when the past drags you back like quicksand, when you catch yourself scrolling through old messages, rereading conversations that cut too deep, when your heart screams for answers it will never get. In those moments, remind yourself, this isn't about them anymore. It's about you. You are choosing to rise. You are choosing to grow. You are choosing freedom. You might wonder what growth looks like on the other side of this pain. It looks like waking up and feeling a little lighter. It looks like laughing again without guilt. It looks like reaching out to friends without hesitation. It looks like setting new goals and chasing them with a heart no longer weighed down by old grudges. It looks like peace. Not perfect peace, but a peace that says, I survived. I'm still here. And I'm still choosing hope. This journey isn't easy. It's not a straight line. It's a messy, painful, beautiful struggle. But every step you take away from bitterness is a step toward healing. Every moment you choose forgiveness is a moment you reclaim your joy. Every time you decide to stand up for yourself instead of sitting in the ashes of what was, you are growing. You are rising. So stop holding on to the anger that keeps you chained. Stop letting resentment dictate your days and steal your nights. You have to let go. You have to choose growth over grudge every single day. Because you deserve to be free. You deserve to be whole. You deserve to live a life not defined by someone who never saw you the way you needed to be seen. The next step in this journey is about learning to trust again, starting with yourself. Because once you break free from the chains of anger and bitterness, you make room for a new kind of love, the one you give yourself. And that's where true healing begins. You came here hurting, carrying memories that still sting. But look at you. You're learning to stand again. This pain isn't your cage. It's your awakening. That friend who never saw you that way. They were never meant to. Because your light was never meant to fit into small spaces. Your worth doesn't depend on their eyes. It's always been inside you. steady, waiting to rise. Healing is messy. It bends and circles, but every small step is a victory. So keep choosing yourself. Keep loosening the grip of what no longer serves you. And when doubt finds you, breathe. You're not alone. You are becoming. You are enough. Go live boldly. Love gently. And remember, this isn't the end. It's the start of your becoming.